Action Comics 1065, Joshua Williamson writing with Rafa Sandoval and Miguel Medoncha on the art. So this is part 3 of House of Brainiac, and we had the cliffhanger last time of the Supergirl and Connor Kent getting out of the bottles but being shrunk, Honey I Shrunk the Kids style, and having to run around Brainiac's ship, while Superman and Lobo were being attacked by the Zarnians on their way to Brainiac's ship. And I've been saying it every time, I'm waiting for Williamson to ruin it, because I actually kind of enjoyed the first 2 parts.
I was really mixed. I liked the first part quite a lot, and then the second part I wasn't as hot on.
So here's the thing. I wouldn't say this issue shits the bed, but I will say some of my gremlins with Williamson's writing do rear their head. And that being, he introduces something, and in this case it's like, okay, Supergirl and Connor kind of shrunk down and they have to sneak about Brainiac's ship. And not only that, quite quickly in the story, once they've like got their footing and they realise, oh shit, we have to hide from things and whatnot, they realise that some of the villains that Brainiac's kidnapped are full size. So maybe we can go to like ones that are can be allies. You know, Parasite and Livewire have been working with Superman. Maybe we can talk into them for help. And I'm like, okay, this is a fascinating thing you've set up here. You're relying on these 2 kind of villains now to basically be trustworthy, because the 2 heroes are shrunk down and have to trust them. That could lead to such a potentially great story, and it's over in such a quick like succession of pages. Like, you literally just, they find the armory, oh, this gun might make you big again. Cut to next page, they're already big again. You set up this interesting premise of them working together, and you just completely just took it away immediately.
There is literally not even one full page of them working together.
Yeah.
They break them out, and on the very next page, it's not even the last panel on that page, but on that very last page is when that panel is where they, shoot them with the embiggening gun.
Yes.
Well, only one way to find out.
Like, yeah. How do you not do a moment?
5 panels. 5 panels of them working together.
How do you not do a moment in this story where it looks like they can't trust the villains, only to reveal that the villains were actually doing something to help them? How do you not have that moment?
Because the fact that, Parasite was the first obstacle that Williamson wrote in Superman, right? When everyone turned into Parasite. So he's been there from the beginning. And so you would think like, oh, well, maybe this is Parasite's chance to, not play along. And there's none. Although we do get a great visual of Connor riding on Parasite's shoulder, so at least there's that.
The thing is, like, obviously you presumably want to go down the route of, well, no, of course they're not going to turn on them. They're semi-good right now. But you could at least play with the idea of, oh, hang on, this is the first time that they're in a position of power in the scenario.
That's what makes it interesting, is they're in this position where they can like overpower the heroes, and they can just turn on them. And you do something with that, and this is my frustrating thing with this, is that up until the moment where they just magically find the guns and it's already over, I was really into it, because I'm like, okay, they've formed this alliance, it's uneasy, and the good thing that might come out of this is that by the end of this issue, or whenever this part of the story's over, this could be where Livewire and Parasite prove that they can be trusted. Like, that could be the heart sort of like felt bit by the end of it. It's like, hey, no, they've proven by the end of this that they can be allies and that they should be trusted in some form or another. But instead, it's just already over, and they're just like marching together the very next page. And I'm like, you gave me this interesting setup, and then you just completely just like...
And for nothing, for an action sequence.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing interesting going on. It's literally them fighting Brainiac drones.
I don't even think I can say he whiffed it, because whiffing it would be trying to do what I expected him to do and it just not being good. This is different. This is him just tangent. He just pivots immediately.
The swerve is there is no swerve. So
oh, it's so frustrating. Like, even when Williamson sets up something good, he finds a way to disappoint me.
Because the way that they ended that last issue with them being small and you saying Honey I Shrunk the Kids, I wanted more of that. Them finding stuff on the ship. And then, we could have had an extended sequence with them, and us getting a little bit more of the mystery of why Brainiac's doing what he's doing.
That could be a whole freaking arc of like 2 super characters shrunk down and sneaking around Brainiac's ship trying to find a way to get big again. That could be a whole story.
Yeah.
It could, but the idea that in a story that's spanning 2 books, you can't even dedicate 1 issue to that. Not even half an issue to that.
Right. Not even more than a page. Like,
Well, I mean,
you know?
just in terms of like how many pages in this issue are them being small? You got the very first page that kind of establishes the scene, and then you cut away to Superman and Lobo.
Hmm.
Right, so you got one page. The second page is where they're like, right, let's get the villains out. So the fourth page now we're on is where they break them out, and then the fifth page they're back up to full size.
Yeah,
So 5 pages.
I will say though that I do like that Supergirl and her ties to Brainiac with the whole Argo City stuff. You know, I do like their confrontation. You know,
sure.
So you know, just not a constant reminder, just the way that it's handled. You know, but the mystery of Brainiac and what he's actually up to. I do like that there's still a sense of mystery to it, that we haven't figured out exactly what's going on, and that gets even complicated more by the backup.
I'm looking at this page with them riding on their shoulders, and I'm just annoyed again because I'm like, they're so vulnerable. They're so vulnerable right now, and that's so.
And they don't even have the powers either.
Yeah, it's so ripe for
what
story.
Yeah. Yep.
God damn
Well,
it.
there's that, and the fact too, like you got to think too that Livewire's been trying to be good, right? Because she's been working with Lois at the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you always have Parasite, who's always a wild card, right? Until he's fine until he gets hungry, so he's a lot like me.
Yeah.
You know.
Also,
So,
but I didn't like is so almost immediately Supergirl just gets like grabbed by the you know, Brainiac's drones and like tentacles and stuff. Just grab her, and that's her. She's beat already. Now, admittedly, they've set up. They don't have their powers right now, so you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But she's taken into the room, and because Brainiac's got Lex there working on stuff, she's immediately like, "Oh, this you were working with him the whole time, weren't you, Luthor?" And like, I get why she'd make some sort of accusation like that, right, and be skeptical of him. That's fine. But I really dislike Lex Luthor's like dialogue here, where he just sort of says, "I work for no one, and you'll never understand, so shut it." I'm like, that doesn't sound like Lex. Shut it. I don't know. Yeah. It's weird to me.
Because I feel like
if I'm being generous, that's maybe intentional with him trying to be like, "Hey, look, this is not normal. Go along with things."
Okay, I mean, yeah, it's been generous,
I am being generous, I admit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's along the lines too that Lex here, when he's telling her to shut it, it was more like you Kryptonians never understand. That's something that I would expect to hear from Lex, where it could be a little bit more coded. Like Connor's saying, given the benefit of the doubt, but here it seems really out of place.
Yeah, I feel like the atmosphere that you want to go for here in this moment is that of unease again. You're going for the idea that Supergirl like thinks, oh, Lex has just been a bad guy again, and Lex is maybe trying to somehow like tell her that he's not there to be a bad guy, but without alerting Brainiac that he's given her information or something. Like, like there's maybe something you could do with that. But anyway, basically, Brainiac's city that he took from Kolu is like explored, and they have a look at it.
Oh, the Omega Titans. When was the last time you heard about those?
Well, I also want to point out here that a lot of the dialogue brings up Legion of Superhero Planets, right? You got Rimbor, you got Brawl, you have Kalu. I'm starting to get some Legion of Superhero vibes. And maybe not in the best way, because I still think Bendis have a little bit of shock there. But I just, with everything with Supergirl and Brainiac and all of this other stuff and the familiarity with all of them.
The sad part is the end of this part of the story is Supergirl grabbing Lex and jumping into the Kolu city, right, where they're shrunk down. And I'm like, okay, Supergirl and Lex being forced to work together when she doesn't have her powers and like having like a sort of like aggressive like relationship with each other does sound like an interesting setup. But
it'll be over in about 3 pages.
Yeah, it'll be over in like half the issue at best. And
well, because Brainiac mentions that Luthor is no longer needed, shoot to kill. So again, like now all of that tension that was between Kara and Lex is now gone, because now they're gonna have to be on the same side to survive.
Well, no, that's good. That's actually good, Matt. The problem is they won't develop it long enough to actually get to the meat where they actually learn to not be that with each other.
That's what I'm saying about there's being no tension with there, is like they're not,
There's no reason for Kara to assume that Lex won't help her, because she's heard them say, well, let's kill Lex as well now. So she knows
but
Lex is going to be on her side.
Why are we assuming she's heard that? I don't understand why we're assuming that.
I mean, they're trying to kill him, right, while she's there.
Yet? Does that happen yet?
Maybe.
It's like right as they jump out, right? It's right as they jump out. So I mean, maybe she didn't hear.
I mean, they're already like halfway, like falling through the sky at that point. So I would assume that they don't.
I
hear
forget
him.
she hasn't got to hear him right now. I suppose.
Yeah. So like, I think the setup of this is fine, but I think it's just another example of Williamson going from one interesting status quo, wasting it, to setting up another that's actually potentially interesting, and then I just don't trust him to actually follow through and actually do everything that he should do with it.
Because that's what he's been doing for years at this point.
It's actually shocking just how much he wastes. Like, he actually comes up with good ideas and then wastes them all.
He is an ideas man.
He is.
But he has...
He's not an execution guy.
He's not. He's really not.
He would definitely thrive with a co-writer. Because I feel like this happens in his...
I don't know if it's just a co-writer. I think it's more just... He just needs an editor who can be like, stop, slow down.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I mean a co-creative in that way. That's someone that's going to help him develop things instead of just doing whatever. Because this is a problem also in his creator-owned stuff. Like this Nailbiter, Birthright. There'd be these things that he set up, and you're like, oh, this is cool. But that's not what he's interested in. He's interested in wherever else, and it always feels like we're rushing along. New thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and then the other half of this issue, after this stuff, is it's all Lobo. so
say no more.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I'm just not interested.
Lobo's not annoying me as much as I thought. Maybe because all the other Zarnians are annoying.
Lobo versus not Lobo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like once they run into the other Zarnians, and obviously they've been talking to Space Cabbie. I mean, even the fact that we cut to this like sort of a space station or whatever it is, and it's like, hey, yeah, this is like it's like a truck stop in space. Tons of people stop here. Fair enough. Like, as soon as we cut there, I'm like, oh right, they've lost the Brainiac ship, and now they're having to find where it went. I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess that's fine, but I did feel like there was momentum before, and this feels like it's slowed right down. Like, for all the things I'm saying about Williamson going too fast, it feels like this side of the story is like, oh no, now we have to like try and hunt him down now. So we have to find out where he is. So so basically, Kratos here offers Lobo the new leadership of the Zarnians because he's getting old, and Lobo is like, I see what you're trying to do. He entertains it for a second, but but then
the fist...
like, right, let's team up and take out Superman. You can have my job.
Yeah, the fist bump thing, that, like, I understand what they're doing there, and I feel like they're trying to do the Predator meme, but the proportions are off, and just that big metal arm is bothering me. You know, because had they just done that meme, I think it's fine.
Yeah, and obviously the joke here is that he sounds like he's about to reject him, and then he's like, no, you're right, let's do it. But of course, I'm kind of expecting that he's actually just playing him, and that he's actually still going to help Superman.
For all intents and purposes, at this point, Lobo is a hero. Like, yes, he's rough around the edges, but ultimately he does what's right. Every instance of Lobo showing up, he is not that dirtbag character they keep telling us he is. You know, so. But yeah, Kratos now. I went and learned that his name is General Chacal, and now, or Chacal, whatever it is, and now all I'm gonna think is Space Kratos. So thanks, Pete.
It was either Space Kratos or Triple H, but I went with Kratos. Yes. I thought it just looked a bit more like Kratos.
And I get this reference.
Connor gets this reference.
But he does look like Space Paul Levesque, so it definitely.
Yeah. Obviously present day Paul Levesque, not in his prime, because
not DX long hair. You know, we're talking even the beard. Damn it! Now that's what I'm gonna see. I'm never gonna remember he's General Chacal after this. Not that he's ever important. I mean,
he's gone by the end of next issue. You'll never see him again anyway.
Maybe here's my issue with this too. Is it's along the same lines where. Once you start seeing there's so many Kryptonians in the universe, right?
Yeah.
It makes Superman and Supergirl feel less special because it's like, oh, okay, well, they're not.
Yeah.
Same with the Zarnians. What made Lobo work was
he's the only one.
Literally the only one, and he can regenerate from a blood drop. So, that's how we get his daughter / clone or whatever, with Crush. And when there's so many of him, now it makes Lobo seem less. So unless he takes out a whole bunch of them, but then that adds up to the whole, are they just going to regenerate? Are we going to be stuck with all of these Zarnians?
Like I love Brainiac as a character, but him having bottled cities from every planet that supposedly have been destroyed, and Mike, you're sniffing.
It's a bit easy.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it does make it just feel like he's too much of a useful device to just bring entire
Yeah.
like cultures back that
Well,
are supposed to be dead.
And that's why I'm wondering about Legion stuff, if that's what Williamson is setting things up. So we all know that, like Johns, he loves, continuity and playing with DC history. So I'm wondering if this is going to be the genesis, like, of a new version of the Legion, because we have the United Planet stuff going on still,
Yeah,
right,
and
over in Green Lantern. So, and the Durlans, and now we have cities from Rimbor and Brawl and Titan and all these other Legion things. So,
another thought in the
who knows?
whole like planets or the cities, the shrunken cities thing, is that the first time it's like, okay, Kandor's there, Superman's got it in a bottle, and the idea being that they're trapped like that, and he just sort of keeps care of it so that they're fine,
Like an ant farm.
right? The problem is though, is that the reason for that for a long time has always been, oh, one day I'll find a way to make them big again and like give them like a place to live and whatever. But in this issue, there's a gun. There's a Brainiac gun that just makes Supergirl and Superboy big again. It doesn't seem that hard in retrospect.
No, and we've gotten the Kandor story before. Like, granted, now it's like 15 years ago, where they, and they made them big, and there's the whole new Krypton and all the problems that came around too. So
yeah, I remember that era.
I mean, did he make the city big here again, or has he made them all small again?
He made them small to go into Kalu.
Okay, it wasn't that clear in the issue.
No,
I didn't think anyway. Because there was no.
I don't know what he needed Luthor for, right? Like, did I miss something where Brainiac explains what he needed?
Yeah, that's why I thought
for?
maybe Luthor was making the city big.
Yeah,
but it's not.
No, I think it was something to do with his braid that he's got in the test tube.
Yeah.
Because we don't see them become small, or the city become big. I'm just assuming they get small.
Yeah,
I'm assuming
it seems like they teleport into there.
Yeah, because they're like flying around in a little ship, and then when they jump out, it's like it feels like next issue, Supergirl and Lex are going to be inside this city of Kolu.
Yeah, the only reason I'm asking if they made it big is because the bit they're like, oh yeah, what are you doing? If you enlarge that, you'll destroy the whole ship. And it just says watch, and then you have a panel of the city in a bottle, just in a yellow light. And then the city's like on top of the whole Brainiac ship head, like, and they're like, I don't know what happened.
Maybe he did make it bigger.
Maybe he transported it into a different space. You know what I mean? Like, because it seems like the teleport thing, because there's stuff all around it still. Like, look at
It's still like a bottle around it, but it looks like, but it's also looks like it's big on top of the Brainiac ship, like the whole, like, the skull head ship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I didn't see them shrink.
Right.
Nah, you may be right.
That's
Actually,
what they needed Luthor for, and that's why they say, "Oh, well, we don't need Luthor anymore. He's done his bit."
But why do you need Luthor for that? Like, it just feels convenient for the sake of plot.
I don't know.
Like
that's what I'm saying. I don't know what Luthor was doing there. That's like what Pete's right, and he needed him for the Brainiac Queen plot.
Queeniac. That was a good name for it.
Queeniac, yeah. So,
oh dear, it's such a shame because this arc started off fine, but I knew all the Williamson problems were going to creep in and cause it to go downhill. And sure enough, like clockwork, here we are.
Yeah, I still enjoyed this issue for the most part. It's just those, I feel like we're focusing really on the Williamson isms of it. But I'm glad that it wasn't just me that got disappointed that they unshrunk Cal. It wasn't Khan and Kara.
I mean,
so quickly.
Very rarely is a Williamson issue a tough read. It always flows well enough. It's more just the story-telling decisions that are the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, never mad at seeing Space Cabbie. So, but yeah, the Madoncha art is the stuff on the Brainiac ship, right? And then the Sandoval is all the Superman.
Yeah.
Or do I have them flipped?
I thought that was the right way around, but I could be wrong.
Because I really like the Madoncha art a lot. So
I mean, honestly, I'm actually not sure. I feel like I'd have to go and compare their art to other books to tell. Yeah. But you're right. That's what the split is. It's like the Superman Lobo stuff's one artist, and
which is a fairly natural split. If
yeah. If I was to guess, I would maybe have said it's the other way around. But I don't know if that's me just remembering what Madoncha's art looks like, or if I'm. Yeah. So I don't know. I will say I like the art with the Brainiac ship stuff a bit more, I think.
Me too.
I do as well.
But It is what it is. All right. Despite the fact that the art looked really, really nice, I did not read the backup because I didn't want to.
Oh, okay. No, oh my goodness, guys. All right. So here it gets on the whole concept of Brainiac's son, who, I don't know if you guys remember that book that came out, we're talking mid-2000s, called Rebels, and it was about Vril Dox, who's constantly trying to get out of his dad's shadow. He runs they're almost like the Guardians of the Galaxy, but for DC, right? They take missions, they do all this other stuff. This backup is essentially all about his dad issues, and he's trying to hide in the galaxy because he's hit rock bottom. And here they bring up Legion, but spelled with all the dots, like it's spelled something out, which I think was his first team before Rebels, which is spelled the same way. But he's also talking about the United Planets and how much problems it's making for him to hide. So he ends up on Rimbor, which is another one of those planets from Legion, and it says he's at rock bottom, and some Zarnians come to bring him in. He fights them off, but eventually Brainiac shows up, and he has to submit to his dad, basically, and he lets him know how much of a disappointment he is. And it's a really fun page because they end up bringing him in, saying that he's coming with us, and then when you turn the page, it's got Vril in, bent down with his head down, and Brainiac just lording over him. And he gets into that, that's rich coming from you, and he starts being defiant towards Brainiac, but he's like, I never asked to be born. I am actually your clone. I'm not even your son, and I'm just another one of your failed experiments. And so Vril starts picking Brainiac's brain about what he wants, and as Brainiac's sitting there he's trying to explain to his son why he's doing what he's doing, he collapses and falls down to a knee, and then admits that he doesn't know what's wrong with him. So whatever the sickness is that we've gotten hints of, not even the 12th level intellect of Brainiac knows what's going on. And so Vril's just giving him, reading him the riot act, that, Dad, you have all of the smarts, but you don't have any street smarts, and, whatever it is, you'll never get it because you're incapable. And Brainiac cuts him off and tells him enough, and essentially picks him up by his neck, and he has the Zardians take him to Kalu. So I'm wondering if he's going to be showing up with Lex, right, and Kara. And in Kalu, they bring him to this dark room where it looks like there's a ton of other leftover Brainiacs. So not the actual ones like we've seen running the ship with him. It's like Lyral, who is another Brainiac clone, and then Indigo, who, again, from around the same time period, she was revealed to be Brainiac 8 from the future. She infiltrated the Titans and all that stuff. And he's putting them all there for a reason. They can't figure out why. And he looks beyond this group, and there's a lady Brainiac, or a lady Kaluan, and he recognizes that as his mom. And that's where it ends, to be continued in Superman 14. So I like the backup. The art is fantastic. It plays with a lot of shadows, a lot of keeping Vril's face half in shadow, half not, to kind of show the difference between him and his dad. But the whole dynamic between them and him seeing the weakness of Brainiac, not knowing what's going on, I thought had some really good moments in it. So I'm curious to see where this goes, because, again, why is Brainiac collecting the other Brainiacs? You know what I mean? And what does this have to do with, what exactly he's doing with the Brainiac Queen? So, yeah, a lot of fun mysteries going on. But, yeah, I like this a tad more than the actual main story. So it seemed a lot more focused.
That's fair. The art looks really nice from what I skimmed of it.
I I agree. I just didn't really want to read it after that very mediocre issue.
Yeah, I agree.
I had like 5 other things I needed to read. I was like, I'd rather get on with those.
Yeah, that was my feelings.
Especially as I knew it was Williamson writing the backup as well. If I thought it was a different writer, I might have been persuaded to try it.
Yeah.
All right, well, in that case, we'll rate Action Comics. Matt, what are you giving it?
7.5.
Connor?
Took a 5, and that's partially for the art.
I'm gonna go 6 because I still think it was a nice enough read, and I liked like at least some of the stuff they did before they threw it away. So I can't be too harsh at it. It's not like a complete mess, but definitely the seeds of disappointment are sowing.